courtroom was usually a place of tension, but today it vibrated with a very different kind of electricity. The kind that follows someone incredibly rich, incredibly arrogant, and hopelessly unaware of the real world. That someone was Victor Kincaid. Victor wasn't just wealthy, his name was practically synonymous with money. Tabloids called him the man who bought time because he once purchased a private island solely to avoid jet lag. He had the kind of power ordinary people could barely imagine, and the kind he thought placed him above basic decency. But today he was in Judge Judy's courtroom, and nobody, absolutely nobody, rose above her authority. The audience started whispering the moment he strutted inside. He walked with the slow swagger of a man convinced gravity worked differently for him. A custom navy suit hugged his frame flawlessly. His watch, one of those limited edition pieces that cost more than a family home, glittered every time he adjusted his cufflinks. Opposite him sat Elaine Porter, a quiet, middle-aged entrepreneur whose hands trembled as she clutched her folder of documents. She wasn't wealthy, powerful, or famous. She ran a modest printing business and had built it from the ground up with persistence, sweat, and pure resilience. Her case against Victor involved an unpaid invoice, a very simple matter. She'd printed 1,000 high-quality brochures for a charity gala Victor sponsored. He'd approved the design, approved the cost, accepted the delivery, and then ghosted her, refusing to pay. $42,870. To Victor, pocket change. To Elaine, the difference between survival and shutting her doors forever. As the bailiff stepped forward and called out, "All rise for Judge Judy," everyone stood, except Victor Kincaid. He didn't even flinch. He stayed seated with one ankle resting luxuriously on the opposite knee, scrolling through his phone as if he were bored of a world beneath him. Judge Judy walked in, her eyes immediately locking on to the one person who dared not stand. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. Her tone could have sliced steel. "Sir, I don't know who you think you are, but in my courtroom, you stand." Victor finally looked up, a faint smirk on his lips. "I don't do the standing thing," he said. "Not for ceremonies, not for formalities, not for theatrics." A wave of gas swept across the room. Judge Judy took exactly one step closer. One eyebrow lifted. "You do for me?" The two locked eyes. One radiated enough arrogance to fill the room. The other radiated a lifetime's worth of authority no billionaire could buy. Everyone knew. This wasn't just a courtroom anymore. It was a battlefield of ego versus justice, and justice was about to win. Victor finally rose, though not fully, more like a lazy half-stand, as if rising completely would cause him physical pain. Judge Judy stared at him the way a lioness stares at a misbehaving cub. "Let's begin," she said. "Miss Porter, state your case." Elaine stood, voice shaking at first but slowly growing steadier. She explained everything, the details of the printing project, the emails, the final delivery, the invoice Victor had ignored. She held up one email. "Approved. Proceed." VK Judge Judy nodded. Then it was Victor's turn. He didn't stand. He didn't even pretend. He slumped back in his chair and waved a dismissive hand. "Your Honor," he began, "this entire thing is a waste of everyone's time. The work she delivered wasn't up to my standard. I shouldn't have to pay for subpar results." Elaine's jaw dropped. Judge Judy leaned forward. "What exactly was the issue with the brochure?" she asked. Victor shrugged. "They just didn't feel premium." "Define premium," Judge Judy said. Victor blinked. "Premium, as in better." The audience snickered. Judge Judy narrowed her eyes. "Sir, you approved the design, you approved the quality, you approved the cost, and you received everything she promised. What exactly didn't meet your supposed expectations?" Victor sighed dramatically, as if explaining the obvious to toddlers. "Look, I'm a businessman. Things change. I changed my mind. That was the wrong answer." Judge Judy straightened, her voice iced over. "In my courtroom, a business agreement is a business agreement. You don't get to change your mind after the work is done." Victor chuckled under his breath. That chuckle changed everything. Judge Judy snapped her fingers toward the bailiff. "Bring me the invoices. and bring his signed approval. The bailiff moved quickly. Victor leaned back again, confidence dripping like oil. I don't intend to take this seriously, he said loudly. I'm only here because my legal team told me refusing would look bad. Let's just move this along so I can... Judge Judy cut him off. No, Mr. Kincaid, you don't get to dictate the pace, and you don't get to insult this process. Especially not while a small business owner is sitting here fighting for money you can lose between the sofa cushions. Laughter erupted. Victor's jaw twitched. I'm not here to be mocked, he snapped. You're not, Judge Judy replied. You're here to be held accountable. The tension was thick enough to carve. Then she said it, the line that turned the entire courtroom silent. Mr. Kincaid, sit up straight, put your feet flat on the floor, and behave like a grown adult. Or I will remove you from this courtroom and issue a ruling without your input. Victor's eyes widened. For the first time, he realized something. Money didn't matter here. Power didn't matter here. Only the truth did. And Judge Judy controlled all of it. The bailiff handed over the documents. Judge Judy scanned them quickly, her eyes moving like a hawk tracking prey. Email approval, signature, invoice, delivery confirmation, everything is in order. She looked at Elaine. Miss Porter, how has his non-payment affected your business? Elaine swallowed hard. This was the part she'd tried so hard not to cry about. My business can't survive without this payment, she said softly. I used my personal savings to buy the materials. I tried contacting him for months. His office blocked my number. I didn't know what else to do. Victor laughed. He laughed. Oh, come on, he scoffed. If your business depends on one invoice, maybe that's your problem, not mine. The audience turned on him instantly. Whispers of disgust filled the room. Judge Judy slammed her pen onto the desk. Mr. Kincaid, that was heartless, unnecessary, and dripping with entitlement. Victor rolled his eyes. I'm being honest. No, Judge Judy said. You're being cruel. She stood up, something she rarely did unless the situation demanded it. Let me explain something to you, she said, voice sharp as glass. There are people in this world who work hard, people who don't have billions to cushion their mistakes, people who honor their contracts and pay what they owe. She pointed straight at him. And then there are people like you who think the rules don't apply to them. Victor's face reddened. You have no idea what it's like to operate at my level, he said. I deal with real money, real decisions, real responsibilities. Judge Judy stepped closer. And yet, she said calmly, you couldn't handle a $42,000 invoice. Interesting. The audience exploded with laughter. Victor stood up abruptly, furious. I'm done with this circus. Judge Judy didn't flinch. Sit down. Her voice boomed with such command that even the bailiff stiffened. Victor sat. Not because he wanted to, because he had no choice. In that moment, the billionaire who thought he ruled the world realized something humbling. He didn't rule this room. Judge Judy did, and she was about to deliver a verdict he'd never forget. The courtroom was silent. Judge Judy lifted the invoice, held it between her fingers, and looked directly at Victor. This is a lawful contract. You approved every part of it. You accepted the work. You refused to pay because of ego, not quality, and now you are in my courtroom playing the victim. Victor opened his mouth, but she raised a hand. No more. You've wasted enough of everyone's time. She looked at Elaine. You will be paid in full. Elaine's eyes filled with tears of relief. Then Judge Judy's gaze shifted to Victor, sharp, unwavering. And Mr. Kincaid, you will also pay additional fees for the time, resources, and needless chaos you have caused. Victor's jaw dropped. You can't be serious. I'm always serious, she replied. He started to protest again, but she cut him off with a single, devastating sentence. You refused to stand for this court. Now you will stand accountable to it. The audience cheered, but Judge Judy wasn't done. This courtroom does not bend to money. It does not bow to power, and it certainly doesn't tolerate arrogance. Consider today a reminder. In the eyes of the law, you are no different than anyone else. Victor's face turned pale. Elaine softly whispered, Thank you, Your Honor. Judge Judy nodded. This case is closed. The gavel came down like thunder. Victor rose slowly this time, completely respectfully, silently. Because for the first time in his adult life, a billionaire learned a lesson that money could never teach. Real power is earned, not bought. And Judge Judy, she never let anyone forget it.